Oh, did you appreciate waking up to 75 notifications?
It was only 34.
Really? I feel like there
Yeah,
should have been more.
well, maybe after this there will be.
Okay, so and yeah, okay, so let me go to the Twitter. So I guess we could. How are you, by the way?
I'm fine. I'm
Okay,
fine.
that's good. That's good. So I guess we can start the podcast now.
Okay. Are we like.
Okay, well, do you want to do an introduction?
My introduction is me asking you a question with some context. The context is that I have said frequently that I don't do trailer analysis because I think it's a waste of time. And I find myself now at 12:21 a.m. about to discuss a trailer with you because of a very funny joke. We both played into this joke. We played into it in subtly different ways, and I think it's important for me to emphasize the difference. That I made the joke to you that we need to do a 25-minute long Shadows Die Twice trailer analysis. So it will be the longest Shadows Die Twice trailer analysis. But I made that joke to you personally. There was no one else listening. And then you made a very similar joke, but you made it to 289 people on Twitter. And now we actually have to do it.
I also think that where we differ is that when I made the Twitter, I wasn't joking.
Hmm. I'd like to point out that I did watch that trailer again. The trailer. And I counted, and there's about 12 and a half seconds of actual footage in it if you ignore the parts where it's black or the parts where it's just the From Software logo. So in order to make this 25 minutes long, there's going to have to be a 1 to 120 ratio of trailer to discussion.
Well, you know what? That sounds right about right. And
Hmm.
I think our podcast skills will allow us to do just that.
Yes, our podcast skills.
Okay, so Richard, let me
Okay,
ask
let's
you.
let's let's do a let's do our IGN style trailer breakdown.
How do you do that? I've never
There is
seen one.
there is a bone with some string
Okay.
and some writing on a wall, and that's the only shot. And it
Okay.
holds on it, and you hear a sort of in the background, and then something tugs on the string and it goes slightly taut.
Uh-huh.
That is the trailer.
And then in the end, a little sword, a little knife appears on the string.
Yeah, yeah. It's not exactly The Force Awakens. There's not a great deal to discuss here, but because I knew this was coming after you very helpfully made the joke on Twitter, I did some research, so we might have something to talk about for 25 minutes, but it won't really be the trailer.
Okay. Well, first, let me ask you, Richard, what is Shadows Die Twice?
Shadows Die Twice is an upcoming game from Software, which may not actually be called Shadows Die Twice when it's released.
Why not?
Because it just says Shadows Die Twice on the screen. But, like, that could, for all we know, that is a working title, like Project Beast was.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be, like, that's the subtitle of the game and it's called something else, Shadows Die Twice.
Right.
Or it may even just be like, you know how the Dark Souls 2 was, like, Go Beyond Death? This may be, like, the equivalent to that. Like how Bloodborne was Hunt Your Nightmares and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
this may be. Mmm.
Hmm.
Mmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it may not. I don't even think it may not. It probably isn't called Shadows Die Twice now that I think about it, because it's Shadows Die Twice, and then it has a little full stop at the end of the
Yeah,
thing,
like
like
a
it's just a
dot.
statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just written as a statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's got punctuation in it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I see what you're saying.
mm,
Interesting.
yeah.
So, if it's not called Shadows Die Twice, what do you think it's called?
I don't know.
Do you think it's called Bloodborne 2?
No.
Why not?
Okay. There is an interview with Miyazaki from, I think, 2016, right? Where he says, I'll give you the URL and you can link this in the video description. He says, this is in 2016, we, meaning From Software, have three major projects for the future. One is a dark fantasy action RPG with a setting/feeling similar to but different from Dark Souls. One is a new game that will reboot a game we have worked on in the past. And the last one is an experimental project. Now, they did announce at the end of 2017 that they were going to do something with Armored Core. They weren't specific, but they were like, Armored Core fans, we haven't forgotten you in the Dark Souls sort of mania that's been going on. And they basically just said, watch this space. Miyazaki did say in another interview that they were working on a new Armored Core game, but then From did a press release that said he was wrong. So I don't know if he literally was wrong or they're just trying to keep it under wraps and they actually are doing one.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are doing an Armored Core game, then Armored Core is not experimental for them and it's not a dark fantasy RPG. So that would be the reboot of a game we've worked on in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming Shadows Die Twice is the first one he talks about where he says there's a dark fantasy action RPG with a similar setting and feeling to Dark Souls.
Uh-huh.
Then someone on Reset Era, which is a forum, said that he knew something about Shadow. He was very cagey about it, but he said he knew a little about the project and that someone asked him, like, is it another Souls game? And he said, kind of, but not really. Like, it's similar in some ways, but it's not a carryover in the same way that the same engine and mechanics have been done across 5 games now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it looks like, on the basis of these interviews, that this Shadows Die Twice project is going to be a dark fantasy action RPG, but not a quote-unquote Souls-like.
Interesting.
Yep.
When you think of dark fantasy action RPG, what games do you think about?
I think of the Souls series, which it's not going to be like. I think we should probably talk about previous From games.
Okay.
Because people were saying, oh, it's Kuon 2 or something like. I don't think it's Kuon 2.
Or like Tenchu.
Well, yeah. Okay, so we'll start with Tenchu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the reason we're going to talk about Tenchu and Kuon is that there are elements in the trailer that are visually reminiscent of both of those franchises.
Okay.
So Tenchu is an odd one because people were saying, oh, new From game, it'll be Tenchu. And I was thinking, Tenchu's not a From series because I remembered playing Tenchu when the first one came out on PS1.
Right.
And it not being a From Software game. And I looked into it and it turns out Tenchu is not really a From Software series. They didn't create it. What happened was it was created by a company called Acquire. And then From bought the rights to it through some merger or deal or something. They got the rights to Tenchu. So the first, I think, 2 or 3 Tenchu games are by a different studio. And then after that, it's a From property. So it's not really... they just sort of own it, but it's not their creation in the same way that the Souls games are.
Okay.
And Tenchu is a series of stealth games where you play as a ninja. The ninja that you play as changes from game to game. Some of them have multiple characters. And they are just sort of mission-based games where you're given an environment and you're told assassinate this person or steal this thing. And you have to move around the environment by hiding in shadows and climbing walls and running along rooftops and things to accomplish the goal. And it's stealth-based because you're a ninja, so you're trying not to be seen.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. And yeah, that differs from the other games I guess we're going to talk about, apart from one, where it's not one continuous environment. It's segmented into little self-contained missions. So you'll get a mission and it will just be like one building. And you won't be able to leave. You'll just have to do it there. And then the next mission, you'll just be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Tenchu.
So could this or could this not be Tenchu?
Well, we think it might be ninja themed because the sort of strange weapon with the cord around it that you see stuck into the wall looks a lot like it's like a ninja sort of grappling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they could use to climb up walls, and they could also use it in combat to like disarm people by tying them up.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like a very heavily stylized one of those where it's got what appears to be a human bone attached to it.
Right.
Hmm.
And you mentioned there are visual elements that are present in
The visual
Tenchu?
element there is the rope weapon thing. I had the name written down, but I don't have it on me now.
And that rope points to Tenchu?
Well, it points to it being like a ninja themed
Okay.
thing, but like From have done other ninja
Yeah.
like games that aren't Tenchu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other fantasy things that are set in the like kind of Asian Japanese fantasy things that could involve those elements, but aren't Tenchu. Yeah.
But let me ask you, is there anything specific in either Tenchu or the trailer, the 12-second trailer, that makes you think that it could potentially be Tenchu?
I don't know. Well, yeah, this amazing 12-second shot of some string. Like, I'm saying it might be ninja themed, and the way that it's called, like the way that they're saying shadows die twice, it's pretty common. I don't think this is historically accurate because I talked to Mai about it, and she said no, it's like a modern media thing.
Uh-huh.
But ninja will be referred to as shadows. Like it's very common in like ninja themes, like the shadows of Yharnam in Bloodborne.
Right.
Like they're called, in Japanese, it's the same thing. It's like Yharnam, as in like they're her agents. They're like snooping around on her behalf, and then yeah, if you watch any ninja themed stuff, there tends to be a lot of throwing like shadows around as a description of them.
Because you played Tenchu, right? Or you looked at a walkthrough?
I played the first Tenchu,
Okay.
like when it came out, and then I looked at some footage of, I think, Tenchu 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm wondering, did you find anything that makes you go, oh, yeah, that thing makes me think it's Tenchu? Not just a general ninja game.
I don't think it probably isn't, because he's, like, if we go with it's the dark fantasy RPG that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Tenchu's, like, it's not that, like, it's got elements to it that are, like, not supernatural, but like heightened, like characters like with weirdly shaped bodies and things. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't really call it a fantasy series. You'd just call it a ninja themed game with sort of some like supernatural elements to it, but not a. But it's not a fantasy series.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to the next game.
Okay. Yeah. Sinclair, did you do any research for this, or was it just me?
I did a lot of... My contribution to this is that in the past week or two, I ate a lot of cookies.
You definitely did.
And as we know, that is one of the ways you worship the Snack Covenant. And
yeah, it was really good when I messaged you to say that I'd spent the entire day looking at Let's Plays of these old From games to get a feeling of what Shadows Die Twice would be, and you said, I ate a cookie.
And so, but I ate more cookies since then, so that means...
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That means that the gods of the Snack Covenant are smiling upon us. And this...
Aren't you the god of the Snack Covenant?
Well, it's complicated. The Snack Covenant has its own lore that I can't reveal.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, you know...
Yeah, and you intentionally make it ambiguous to make the audience think for themselves. It's not bad writing. It's trying to make the audience think.
Exactly. So, but what matters is that the Snack Covenant is smiling upon us, and this podcast will go very well because of that.
Okay, good.
And good. I think that contribution is priceless.
Yeah, and also you need the energy from the cookies for this marathon, longest ever Shadows Die Twice trailer analysis.
So every time we do a podcast, right? My boyfriend's like right here watching TV or doing something, and I think he feels very, very sorry for you. He's like, poor Richard has to deal with this shit, but at least I get a break.
He's still got to be in the same room as you. Like, he can still hear all this.
Yeah. He's in the living room. Yeah, because my setup is in the living room.
Yeah, he's just adjacent to it.
So, what other game can you talk to us about, Richard?
I watched a bunch of From games, and I made some notes. I watched. Want to talk about Kuon now, because that's the one that people are also citing a lot. They're saying it's going to be Kuon 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Kuon it's much closer to if you said dark fantasy. It's very much that. It's like a survival horror setup in like ye olden days Japan. It's not quite feudal. It's not quite medieval. It is a story set in a creepy. They call it a one of those things we were talking about with Loki, where like there's just words that don't quite translate. So they call it a mansion, basically.
Okay. It's
a residence. It's a big lavish sort of residence. And you play as 3 different characters who all go through. Their stories all take place at different times. So you play through 3 different parts of the story as 3 different characters. And it is a horror game where there is basically a priest is trying to resurrect the dead by putting people in these. He's trying to perform what he calls the Kuon ritual.
What does Kuon mean?
Okay, well, this is the thing. Kuon, because of the way it's written, you can read Kuon as eternity, or you can break it up into Kuon, which means 9 grudges. And the plot of the game is that he basically has to sacrifice 9 people to complete this ritual. So you play as, there's 3 different characters. They all basically play the same, but some are stronger and some are weaker in different areas. You have to explore the mansion. It's full of these people that are turning into monsters. They are explicitly turning into the hungry ghosts that are the inspiration for the Bloodlickers in Bloodborne. So they kind of look a little bit similar. They're sort of like, they're thin, but they're like eating blood and things. You find them on the ground in the same position where they're like lapping up blood and eating corpses.
Interesting.
You have to go around and solve the mystery of what happens in the mansion. And it's kind of an infamous game because it got an English release, I think, only in PAL territories. And it's extremely rare, and it's, as a result of being rare, it's very, very expensive.
Okay.
A copy of it, like, I almost bought a copy of it at one point, but it runs around $200 to $250 for a copy of Kuon. So
damn, that's crazy.
You may as well just emulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It has a very interesting atmosphere to it, but I obviously haven't played it because it costs so much, but from the footage I saw, the actual act of playing Kuon looks really, really boring. Because it has the problem that a lot of survival horror games have, where every fight with an enemy is just kind of you attacking over and over again from like in Resident Evil, like the combat is just you aiming and shooting over and over again, and then if the thing gets too close, you move away. You're a bit more mobile than in Resident Evil, but literally every single fight I saw, and I watched the whole, it's like a 9-hour game, and I watched all of it. Every single fight is just the character running around, not even running, kind of just leisurely jogging in circles around an opponent and then flicking cards at them, and the cards turn into fireballs. So I think you're not missing much if you don't actually play Kuon. You may as well just watch it and get into the atmosphere of it, because that seems to be the strength. The actual gameplay looks extremely bad. Yeah. The other thing about Kuon is that, like I was saying, you play through 3 different characters whose stories take place at 3 different time periods. And the first character you play as is actually the middle of the story. So you play through as her, and then it ends, and then you go and you play through a character whose story technically took place earlier.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, that's really interesting because we'll be able to see like what led to the mansion being overrun by monsters.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Oh.
It's like 98% the same thing, with the monsters in exactly the same. In the same, for some reason, like the same events are happening, and I don't know how they happen twice like that.
Twice? Events happen twice. Shadows die twice.
Shadows die twice. Confirmed. Yeah. Yeah. What else happens? One of the things in Kuon is they make a big deal out of there being iron spikes that conceal demons. The idea is that there are demons there, and they have these spikes kind of hammered into them that are stopping them from escaping, basically, by hammering these iron spikes into them. And it might be that thing on the trailer is some sort of like, maybe that is binding something by sticking into it, but I think it is just the ninja tool. It reminded me a lot of the Cathedral of the Deep.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like with Rosaria and the slugs, and they're being
the way that way that the people in Rosaria's room are being like, they lay in these beds and then they're apparently reborn as these worm things. That happens in Kuon, like, explicitly. Like,
really?
People are put inside similar. Yeah, part of the Kuon ritual is people are put inside these. I think they're just called a basket, but it looks like a cradle, and then the lid's put on, and then when the lid's removed, they've turned into something else. And it's very sort of insect themed, because the idea behind the Kuon ritual is you're using silkworms in the ritual, because a silkworm is something that's like, it's a worm and then it molts and it turns into something else after it's been in a cocoon.
Richard,
so they're using this. Yeah.
Sorry, go on. Talk about the cocoon.
Yeah, the idea of the Kuon ritual is it's sort of insect themed, in that in like the silkworms they use in the ritual, they're little caterpillars, and then they go into a cocoon and they hatch as something else. So the rebirth in the Kuon ritual uses a lot of insect imagery, just similar to how the Cathedral of the Deep people are reborn as these grub things.
Yeah.
And the way that the grubs are stuck into the wall with those like stone spikes, it's similar. Yeah. Kuon is similar with iron spikes, and there's puzzles where like you have to, in order to get the right number of spikes, remove spikes from other enemies, which causes them to come back to life and stuff like that. So,
interesting.
The other thing about Kuon is that you see the same in the background of the Shadows Die Twice trailer. It's like a wall with Japanese writing on it that the spike is stuck in. You see that a lot. That image of like a wall with stuff written on it. Yeah, like a lot of the rooms of the mansion have that. Like the wall will have like Japanese writing. It looks exactly the same around it. Yeah, so I don't think it's Kuon 2 though, because Kuon doesn't really leave like room for a sequel. It just ends. It's a self-contained story, but it's a genre of story called a kwaidan. It's like a specific kind of ghost story. So they may be going for like another kind of kwaidan story with Shadows Die Twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think Shadows Die Twice could be a Rosaria spin-off?
Yes. It will finally explain that she is Guinevere.
She could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vardy said she was.
Did he? Well, then it's confirmed.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Okay.
I think like the way that Bloodborne it drew a lot on survival horror games for its atmosphere and design. Maybe they'll go further into that for Shadows Die Twice if it's a Kuon thing. Like they'll
that would be cool.
Maybe set it in the maybe it'll be in the alpha of Bloodborne. They make a really big deal out of Yosefka's clinic actually being this huge sprawling mansion with all these extra parts attached to it. So they might be leaning more into the sort of like urban environment aspect, and maybe it will be set in a mansion again. I don't know.
And oh, what did I want to ask? Oh, I forgot to ask you before, but what does Tenchu mean?
Tenchu means Wrath of Heaven.
Okay.
Lies in like you're like killing people, so you're like the Wrath of Heaven's come down.
Okay, thank you. What other game did you want to talk about?
Well, I didn't actually want to talk about any of these, but You sort of forced my hand by tweeting it.
No. Say the story right. I forced your hand way before that.
Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah.
Thank you.
I would never have gotten out of this.
There was no way for you to get out of this. Tweet or no tweet.
Yeah. I watched playthroughs of Echo Knight, which is an old From Software horror game, kind of.
Oh yeah? What's it about?
That's a very interesting question. Echo Knight is a horror game that looks like it runs on the Kingsfield engine, from what I'd like. They just got Kingsfield and kind of removed the combat from it.
Okay.
Echo Knight is about a man who he inherits his grandfather's cabin after his grandfather dies. And it does a weird kind of Painted World of Ariamis thing where you're in the cabin and then you will find within the cabin like memorabilia from your grandfather's life. And when you touch it, you go back into like, you end up in an area that's like his memory of that place.
Mm-hmm.
So you find like a photograph of a boat, and then if you touch it, you will end up on that boat. You find, It tells a story, because of the way it's done, it's kind of out of sequence, about your grandfather finding it's about a knife that will give, it's about a cursed gem that's embedded in a knife, and the wielder of the gem like will get power, but they have to kill people to do it with the knife. So you kind of just follow your grandfather's, like, basically the story of this knife, going back to medieval times, actually. You see, like, there's, like, an old king in a castle, and he's one of the first people that's killed with the knife, and then you sort of follow it through to this... The setting is sort of ambiguously, like, 19th century, possibly early 20th century.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a bit, there's a lot of it seems a bit like Proto-Bloodborne. Like, you go to a sort of university observatory at one point that's very similar to Bergenworth, and there's a lot of, like, medical horror going on. There's a lot of, like, stuff happening in hospitals and things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and one of the big mechanics of it is that you spend, like, I said there's different areas, but, like, conservatively, half the game is on this ship. And on this ship are the ship sank, but on the ship are the ghosts of the passengers and the crew who died when the ship sank.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to perform, like, basically little quests and puzzles and things to set right, like, unfinished business for the spirits. And then when you do that, they pass on to the next world with, like, happily.
Uh-huh.
So you find, like, you just find, like they rendered as, like, kind of transparent figures, and they'll say, like, I was the captain, or, like, I worked in the boiler room and I was killed when this thing happened, and then you have to do something that, like, either alters their fate or, like, fixes the problem that they had that they feel is left unfinished after they died. Or, like, you might have to, like, reunite two lovers who had died or something.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's mostly just walking around, but there's technically combat, because very occasionally weird ghosts appear and they sap your health if they touch you.
Uh-oh.
It feels really tacked on, and I don't really like it. And it just feels like someone said there has to be combat or it's not a real game, apparently. So the combat is terrible, and I don't know why it's in there. And there is a creepy doll with someone's soul bound in it. Yeah.
Is that Odin?
Yes. And Rosaria. Oh, and the king who keeps showing up, his ghost keeps reappearing, and he kind of looks like Ligarius. Oh, and there's a music box that plays a pivotal role in the story.
Oh my god! That's funny.
And there is a second Echo Knight game, which is only in Japanese, and there's a fan translation patch for it, but I didn't watch that.
Okay.
Then there is a third Echo Knight game, which I used to think was the second one because the second one never actually came out here. But the third one is called Echo Knight Beyond, and you play as the, like, great-great-great-great-grandson or something of the character from Echo Knight. And it's now, like, the 22nd century, and you're on the moon.
Okay.
And it's very similar to the ship sequence in that you're on this like crashed space shuttle and there's ghosts floating around. And you basically do very similar things, but it's in space and it's on the PS2, so it looks a lot nicer and it's a lot more fluid.
That's the one that you keep saying, like, I'm okay if Bloodborne 2 is in space?
Yeah, I was saying Bloodborne 2 should do that. Just push the timeline forward even further and have it in a space station. Mm-hmm. So that's Echo Knight.
Okay. And what does Echo Knight mean?
I guess the echoes refer to, like, the people who are left behind.
Wait! Echo? Blood Echoes? Echo Knight?
Well, maybe, but like its Japanese title is still Echo Knight. Like that's not a translation. It's just written as like Echo Knight, like that. Yeah, but yeah, it seems like the echoes are like the echoes of meaning the spirits of the people who died or left behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I think that's got absolutely nothing to do with Shadows Die Twice at all. But I watched the whole thing, so fucking talking about it.
But it could still be an Echo Knight inspired game.
An Echo Knight like.
Yes, Echo Knight like.
Yes. Echo Knight is a King's Field like.
It's like a Matryoshka where you're like, this is like that, and this is like that.
I've played King's Field, and I'm pretty sure Echo Knight is literally just the King's Field engine with the attack command removed, so you just talk to people.
Okay.
Okay.
Were there any other games you wanted to
There were many other games. I watched all of them. This is why my memory of them is so bad. Because I watched them all incredibly rapidly.
Why would you do this to yourself, Richard?
Because we had to fucking pad this thing out.
We could have just talked about the cookies we ate over the weekend.
I didn't eat any cookies this weekend.
Well, that's your problem. You did this to yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I did. I did this to myself as well. I could have just said, like, new phone, who dis, and not answered. But no, it's like... It's almost 1 a.m.
We always go back to that initial thing. Had you not answered that Reddit message, none of this would have happened.
I know. Every day I think back to like what life could have been. If I just registered a new Reddit account and moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the next from game we're going to talk about that you haven't played because you were eating cookies is Otogi. The Otogi series has 2 of them.
What's Otogi? Is it like pierogi?
I don't know what it means. I'll level with you. I did a lot of skipping ahead during the Otogi video I watched because it looks really boring. I knew about Otogi because it's where the moon presence cutscene kind of comes from. There's the scene in Bloodborne where the moon presence descends in front of the red moon with its, like, vein tail tentacles.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
Waving around. Yeah, that's virtually identical to a scene in Otogi where
you showed me that.
It's the nine-tailed fox god descends and its tails are flying in the same direction. Otogi is an action game. It looked a little like the Dynasty Warriors games, but with almost no enemies on screen. Otogi, yeah. Otogi. It's sort of similar to the Tenchu games in that it's not a continuous environment, it's mission-based. You just, like, you have it's actually very, very small level, might only be like 2 or 3 rooms, and you will just be given an objective which, from what I saw, is almost always defeat all the enemies. And you play as a guy called, I think his name is Raiko. He's like it's similar to Bloodborne in that, like, you're a character who's, I think he died and he's bound to this, like, spirit world. So he keeps being, he's undead and he keeps being sent on missions by this strange fox deity thing.
So it's similar to Demon Souls.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, it's the same. I think it comes after Demon Souls, or it's like maybe it's contemporaneous. It was for Xbox. And like I'm trying to come up with ways of talking about it, but it looked so boring. You float around, like your character has kind of infinite flying ability. And you just float around through these really quite small areas, and then monsters will spawn. But the monsters, there'll be like 3 or 4 different kinds of monster per area, and you just sort of hit them and they die. There doesn't seem to be very much to it, and I don't know. I just looked and I thought I would never play this. Like the aesthetics are very interesting. Like it is like if you talked about a dark fantasy action RPG, then that would recall like the imagery of Otogi. Because it's like a sort of Japanese fantasy thing. There's the monsters in it are very, they're all drawn from Japanese folklore. Mm-hmm. If you're familiar with like the sort of standard Japanese folklore enemies, they're all in there. The possessed masks are in there. The wheel monks are in there. The 9-tailed fox god is in there. Although this fox god only has 8 tails, and that's apparently significant. But I think yours. Yeah, he has 8 tails, and I can't remember why that's significant because I started zoning out because it's so repetitive.
But by the way, I just clicked the Otogi playthrough, just like a random one, and I fast forwarded, and I see whoever is playing this, he has 2 swords. One is like blue type deal, and one is red.
And one is red,
oh,
yes.
You know what I'm thinking?
Pontiff Sullivan origin story?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
He's really cool because he does pyromancy and magic.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Otogi. I don't really know how to describe it. It was just like, I think the fact that you could fly sort of killed it for me because everything seemed sort of weightless. Mm-hmm. Like everything was just sort of floating around weightlessly, so nothing felt like it had any impact and nothing felt...
I see,
You know, it just sort of... Yeah, I just...
I know what
Are you
mean.
Watching it now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just like, I just don't... I don't understand this thing. It just looked really, really dull to me, and I don't think I'll ever play it. Then there's Otogi 2, which is seemingly exactly the same, but you have more than one character. There's like other demons that are bound to the same place, and you can play as them.
Okay. Huh.
So I think, like, aesthetically, if they go down a dark fantasy route with Shadows Die Twice, and obviously Shadows Die Twice has a very strong Asian influence from what we've seen because they've got the Japanese writing in the background and what looks like a ninja weapon, so it might be aesthetically similar to Otogi. Mm-hmm. But I really hope it doesn't play like Otogi looks like it plays. I'm sure there'll be, like, someone in the comments who's like, no, Otogi's great. And I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe it is, but from what I've seen, it doesn't look very interesting.
I'm quiet because I just realized something.
We've been talking for 40 minutes now.
No, I'm hungry.
Yeah, you're always hungry, though.
No,
I've noticed this.
Fact. But it's like I woke up and I had a coffee, but I didn't have any food. And now, like, my stomach's like...
Yeah, well, no, this is like the reverse of what it normally is, where I wake up and drink Red Bull and just sit down, and then you complain that my stomach's growling and I'm burping.
If I talk about this loud enough, do you think my boyfriend's gonna bring me a snack?
No.
He just said no. Okay, so other than Otogi, what's the next game I want to talk about?
There is Ninja Blade.
Ninja Blade. Okay, let me go.
Guess what that's about?
About a ninja blade.
Well, no, it's about the ninjas that hold the blade. But you were close.
But I imagined like a blade that just walks around. It has 2 little legs.
Well,
and it's like...
it's interesting that you bring this up because one of the blades from Ninja Blade is in Demon Souls.
Does it walk around and it has 2 little legs?
No, it's just the asset. Like, just it's like a series of knives in the shape of a hydra, and that is just in the files. I think they were using it for testing. So yeah, you can find a blade from Ninja Blade in Demon Souls if you data mine it.
Wait, Richard, explain this to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I imagined a blade that walks around on 2 little legs, and you're like, it's interesting that you bring it up. I thought there was going to be a follow-up to my little blade.
No. Well, there is a blade that escaped from the game and ended up in Demon Souls.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, I didn't get it.
Yeah. The blade lived on.
It walked it walked over to Demon Souls.
Yes, it escaped.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah. It knew that Demon Souls was going to be the successful one, so it jumped ship.
Oh, okay.
And now it's on the Demon Souls wiki, where it probably got more exposure than it ever did as part of Ninja Blade. Because I don't know. I know one person who knows Ninja Blade. Like, it doesn't seem to have been that successful.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay, well, talk about Ninja Blade.
Ninja Blade is... You'll never guess, it's about ninja. And it is different to the other ones we've discussed because it is in a... It's a futuristic setting that is like... It's not futuristic now, but it was futuristic now. I think it's set in like 2019.
Oh, so like next year.
Yeah. It's set next year, but at the time it was made, that was further in the future. It's like near future fantasy. It's like you play as ninja who are vaguely kind of cyborg-y. They have like not cyborgs at all. It's similar to I'm thinking of cyborgs because it reminded me a bit of Metal Gear Rising, and then it's like near future like techno ninja basically. Oh. And you fight. You'll like this. You fight people who transform into beasts because they have centipedes in their bodies.
Oh my god!
Yep.
They have vermin?
They have vermin in their bodies. There is like a bit at the beginning where it like zooms into this woman's like body and you can see there's vermin crawling around in her and then she starts transforming.
Did they too anger cause?
They may have. I didn't watch it to the end.
Richard! Lauren origin story!
Yeah. Ninja Blade is the true Bloodborne 2.
No, Bloodborne 0.
Bloodborne 0. It's like Resident Evil 0. The best one.
I'm looking at it now, I'm like looking through a playthrough. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it just looks like a standard kind of action game. I don't think it's going to tell us anything about Shadows Die Twice at all.
But it did tell us about Lauren and Bloodborne.
It did. It is the canonical origin of Lauren, because there is a multiverse.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a multiverse. Like, this could have been Lauren, but then everything got destroyed. It got covered by sand, so it doesn't look like that anymore.
Well, as Loki told us, time is convoluted was a mistranslation, but I think it is the intended meaning, and it was a classic Miyazaki troll. Even though I don't think Miyazaki had any connection to Ninja Blade at all. But that was itself a classic Miyazaki troll, because he always thinks ahead.
He's like 10 steps ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
Just like communism.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't expecting you to say that. I was like, oh, what? Oh, okay. What does that even mean?
I don't know. Oh my god. But whenever I say communism or think about whatever, I have the picture that was birthed from that Demon Souls stream that says yes sir.
Yeah.
And I die. And I have like the visual of them and their old cheese.
Good. This isn't going in, is it? So I think that concludes the From games I watched Let's Plays of. In my research...
That's it?
They go for like 6 to 10 hours each.
That's like 3 games.
No, it was Echo Knight Beyond, Tenchu, which I did as a classic Miyazaki troll. I did that in 1998 because I knew this was coming, so I played Tenchu 20 years ago. There's Kuon, which is like 9 hours long, and both Otogi games and Ninja Blade. So that's 7.
But From made more games than that.
Okay, well just look at fucking From's entire output.
Let me go to From Software game list.
From Software Wikipedia, which is always accurate. Oh, Shadow Tower. We didn't talk about Shadow Tower.
Oh well, good thing I interjected.
See, I didn't watch the Let's Play of Shadow Tower because Alison Baker has Let's Plays of both Shadow Tower games on her channel already, and I'd already watched them. In
Nice, thank
another
you,
classic troll
Allison.
move, where before I met you, like 2 years ago, I watched these. Okay. They are, again, it's just like a very minor-ish iteration on Kingsfield.
Okay.
Where instead of being set in... What?
Okay, we're doing this wrong, Richard.
Okay.
Talk about Kingsfield.
Alright, I've played the original Kings... Oh, no, I haven't. Okay, Kingsfield is confusing because they changed the numbering outside of Japan. So, like, I own a copy of game called Kingsfield, which is actually Kingsfield 2, but they never released Kingsfield 1 outside Japan, so Kingsfield 2, when it was released, was just called Kingsfield, and then when Kingsfield 3 was released, they called it Kingsfield 2. And then when they released Kingsfield 4, I think they just called that Kingsfield 4 and gave up on trying to keep it consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, Kingsfield is, the best way to describe it would be like if you imagine Demon's Souls running on a PlayStation 1 in first person. Like, it is the same stamina-based combat system. It is the same... Actually, it's much, much harder in terms of difficulty. It is the same kind of setup where, like, you are sort of thrust into this world. You're not really told much, and you have to piece it together from, like, NPC interactions and little things that you find. What else about it? And it's the same kind of level design. Actually, the levels are probably more complicated in Kingsfield, actually. Where it's like one big open world where you progress by unlocking shortcuts and, like, changing kind of, like, you'll find, doors will open and, like, ramps will move down and things that help you move around. And you loop back on yourself an awful lot.
You said it looks like Demon's Souls?
If you imagine Demon's Souls running in first person on a PS1.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Yeah, because I'm looking at it now. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Demon's Souls is... Demon's Souls was originally conceived as being first person, like Kingsfield is, and then they changed it to third person. It's very, very, very slow if you play it. Like, it takes you, I think it's a full, like, 10 seconds to just turn around.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and it's like very, very slow animations. You have a stamina bar like you do in the Souls games, and if that runs out, you can't attack. You are given really no direction, and the world's very open. So, like, as soon as you start, if you go left, there is a crab monster that will just kill you in, like, one hit. It's extremely deadly. You will very frequently just get lost, and you can just stumble into, like, areas you shouldn't get into yet because the monsters are too strong, but you won't know it. It's a bit like the NES Legend of Zelda, where you just sort of just wander around, and you can very easily just wander into a high-level area and die immediately.
Yeah.
So you die a lot more frequently than in the Souls games, and what's good is that unlike in the Souls games where you die and you respawn at a bonfire, if you die in Kingsfield, you just go back to the title screen. And you just have to reload from the last place that you saved. And the first save point in Kingsfield is about half an hour into the game. So,
hardcore.
Yeah, I played the first half an hour of Kingsfield a lot because I could not find anywhere to save, and every time I died, I had to start again.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of kind of Soulsy things start off in Kingsfield. There's the opening area of Kingsfield is set on an island, and it has a kind of like Demon Soulsy atmosphere where the idea is you go to this island and there's this water on the island, and if you drink the water on the island, you become immortal and you can never die. But it also means you can never leave the island.
Aww.
So all the people on the island are kind of like, they're going mad, like the Hollows a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because they've been trapped on this island forever and they can't die and they can't leave, and everyone's sort of kind of out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also where Seath and where the Moonlight Greatsword come from.
Oh.
Yes, they get their start in Kingsfield. Yeah, Seath shows up, but he is a good guy. He's Seath the White Dragon, and he fights the Black Dragon, or something. And
Oh,
then,
so this is
yeah.
the world before the first flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Moonlight Greatsword is introduced in Kingsfield. And it became...
Oh my god!
Yeah, and they
cool.
released a make your own Kingsfield thing for computers, where you could make your own Kingsfield dungeon.
Oh, I heard about that!
Yeah, and it's called Sword of Moonlight. So even back then, like, the Moonlight Sword was this iconic From Software thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And
you want to know something about... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go on.
You want to know something about the Moonlight Sword?
It was used to kill Maria from Ludwig.
You know, maybe.
Maybe.
But that's a story for another day.
Classic Miyazaki troll.
But the first time I played the DLC,
yeah.
I think I don't remember how familiar I was with the lore, to be honest.
Yeah.
But when I reached Ludwig, I was like, this is like amazing music, amazing boss. And I think I was playing with my boyfriend who was helping me get through the DLC.
Yeah.
And so, but then, when the second phase of Ludwig came along, and he's like, you were by my side all along, my true mentor, my guiding moonlight. I think my boyfriend must have been like, oh my god, the Moonlight Sword! Like, because he's like a big From fan and he played the games before, right? And it must have been a very emotional moment for him. But because that was my first Souls game, it's like, I was like, okay, another sword, cool. Like, who cares? And it's literally only like, I don't know, a year later or whatever, when I got back into the Bloodborne lore, I guess.
Yeah.
Whenever that was. It's like having done some Dark Souls lore, having looked a little bit into Demon Souls, I was like, oh my god, that was a really significant moment for the fans.
Yeah.
Like the Moonlight Sword reveal and it's I don't know, it's interesting to see like how I didn't appreciate it at the moment.
Yeah.
And looking back now, it's like I kind of wish I knew about the games more so I could experience it with everyone else.
My first exposure to the Moonlight Sword was in Armored Core, because I played Armored Core before Kingsfield. And in that you find the Moonlight Sword and it's just an item that's in like a hidden area. And I didn't understand the significance of it. It's just a really strong sword. So I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I found a hidden area and there was a cool sword there. And didn't realize until much later, oh, the Moonlight Sword is like From's mascot.
Yeah, you pulled this in.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, is Kingsfield Shadows Die Twice?
Yeah, why not?
Sorry, I completely forgot what we were saying before.
I don't know what we're talking about.
I literally can't remember.
Okay.
I just remember being like, oh, by the way. Oh, I guess you mentioned the Moonlight Sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kingsfield was the first time they introduced the Moonlight Sword?
Yeah, I think it was the first game they ever designed. Because it existed, but I think they had done like business software before that.
Oh. No, but it is. December 16th, 1994. Oh, that's cool though. That's cool. So there's Kingsfield 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And
4.
Is there anything Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a fourth one. It's for PS2. It's called The Ancient City.
Oh, yeah, it's way later. It's in 2001. Okay. Super. Wow, you're good, Richard.
I've got it. It's on my shelf.
Oh, God, Richard, no. Don't admit to having it. You have enough to be embarrassed about in life.
Why should I be embarrassed about owning Kingsfield?
I don't know. Because I'm trying to... I tried to bully.
It backfired because there's no reason to actually feel bad about it.
But it's just I'm trying to make you feel bad because you're Richard, you know?
Yeah, it's fine.
And also, I still haven't had food, so my bullying isn't on point.
Yeah. From making business software there was another PS1 developer who also used to make business software. And they branched out into games and didn't work out at all.
Who?
They were called Neorex. And they used to make business software and then they made one PS1 game called Cosmic Race, which is held up as literally the worst game on the PlayStation 1.
Did you say Cosmic Race?
It's called Cosmic Race, yes.
The sky and the cosmos are one?
Well, it is a bit like going mad playing it.
Is this a choir origin story?
Yes. Yeah, the Healing Church took the orphans and forced them to play Cosmic Race.
That explains
and
everything.
That's why they're all a bunch of fucking idiots. There was a magazine, I can't remember the name of the magazine, but they had like the review score and what it meant. And it was like 90 to 100%. Amazing. And then down the bottom was like 0% Cosmic Race. Because it was the only game they'd ever given a 0 to.
That's a sick burn right there.
Yeah.
Damn. Damn. Okay.
Okay.
So, after Kingsfield 3 comes Armored Core.
No, after Kingsfield 3 comes Kingsfield 4.
No, after Kingsfield 3 comes Armored Core in 1997.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, Armored Core. I'm gonna be blunt, and I'm gonna make a here's my hot take.
Okay.
Shadows Die Twice has nothing to do with Armored Core because it's about fucking robots.
Well, wait a minute. Shadows Die Twice could be an Armored Core prequel.
Well, it could be in the sense that, like, any game set before the 22nd century could be an Armored Core prequel, like, technically.
There we go.
Yeah. Like, I, Claudius could be a Star Trek prequel, technically.
What?
Because it's set in ancient Rome, and that's the past. And Star Trek is in the future.
What is it? I don't know what it is. The first thing you said. What is it?
I, Claudius.
What is that?
It was a book about the emperors of Rome, and then it was adapted into a BBC TV series in the 1970s.
Why are you talking about it?
Because I was thinking about something that had been in the past.
No, but why are you bringing up like I'm supposed to know about this shit?
Well, I don't know.
Like, I don't even like history. The only reason I know anything about the time before I was born is because I got into like Bloodborne and Dark Souls lore and decided to read about it.
But you know, those games aren't set in the real world. So that if you find out information from them, it might be inaccurate.
No, I mean, I started reading stuff about the real world that happened in the past and being like, maybe that connects to something in the games.
Okay.
Yeah, Rome was not... I didn't get to Rome yet.
No, I don't think that's relevant to Dark Souls.
It might be, because Romans used similar deities to Greeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I only know that because I did the Greek history part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been recording for an hour now.
Well, the trick is, technically we have more than 25 minutes, but how much of it will actually get in? So we gotta keep talking.
I hope this is played over the Shadows Die Twice trailer, just looping. So that people have to endure it, like, hundreds of times.
Maybe a new discovery will come out of it. Like, when you watch it enough times, it's like, you notice stuff you didn't notice before, like the Bloodborne
No, I'm pretty
games.
sure we've seen everything we're going to see of the Shadows Die. It is... Calling it a trailer is generous.
Okay, so Armored Core is about robots.
Yes, you got it in one.
Okay, and you talked about it on a few.
Yeah, it was the first From game I played, and it's kind of the reason I played Demon Souls is because I was a big Armored Core fan. So I had fond memories of From, and then like I didn't play video games much between about 2000 and 2013. So when I got a PS3 toward the end of its lifespan, I went on PSN. I'm like, oh, From Software, they made Armored Core. I'll see what else they've made, and that's how I played Demon Souls.
Oh, cool. Super.
Yeah.
Okay. And Shadow Tower we talked about?
No, we didn't.
We didn't talk about
We started talking about Shadow Tower, and then you said, no, let's start at the beginning about Kingsfield.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just remember you saying it's a Demon Souls thing, so I assumed there was more that I just didn't remember or blocked out, as I usually do.
Yeah. You did a lot of research for this, so I'm not surprised you're confused.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about... Shut up. Okay, Shadow Tower.
Shadow Tower is a bit like Kingsfield. I'm pretty sure it's reusing the same engine. I'm also pretty sure Armored Core uses the Kingsfield engine, like, modified as well, because they feel very similar to Control. They're both very, very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow Tower is another RPG. It's very similar to Kingsfield. And that's kind of like it. It's sort of to Kingsfield what Bloodborne is to the Souls games, where it's very, very similar, but it moves the timeline forward a little bit, so it's like you can get guns in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the monsters are a bit less high fantasy and a bit more just weird, and it has some vaguely Lovecraftian stuff going on in it as well.
Okay.
And it's called Shadow Tower because it's set in a giant tower, and you have to climb it.
That reminds me of the Heart of Mensis.
Yeah. And the kind of logo thing for Shadow Tower Abyss is a rune that looks a lot like one of the runes from Bloodborne.
The horsefish rune?
Yes, the horsefish rune, and you see it as at the very beginning of Shadow Tower Abyss. You are on a boat, and you travel to the tower by a boat, and as you're going down, you go under the big rune, and I think it looks like the sea rune.
Uh-huh.
Well, it looks almost exactly the same, but I think in Shadow Tower the idea is it depicts the tower itself, because the way they describe the tower is that it's one tower, and then there's another 6 towers that sort of branch off the sides. So there's like 7 different worlds, and the rune itself looks like a tower with 6 other little things sticking out of the side of it. So
okay.
I think that's what it represents. And the Shadow Tower games also have a woman whose soul is trapped in a doll.
That's like a repeating theme. A recurring theme. Did you just do a Ludwig sound?
Not intentionally, but I may be turning into Ludwig as a result of these podcasts.
Maybe that's what happened to Ludwig.
That's how they tortured him in the prison. They just forced him to record podcasts all day. It's like, I don't know.
Yes.
He was like,
and that is why his transformation is so different from like the other guys.
He had to record them with the Moonlight Sword. It was talking to him. And it's asking him to explain, like, I don't understand the plot. And no one else could hear it except him. And like, oh, there's Ludwig yelling at his sword again.
Did you know the sword guided him to kill Maria?
Yes. Yeah, you told me.
I'm glad you know that information.
Yeah.
Any day now, Lance will find shit ton of cut content that just proves this completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he does. I hope at some point there's just something happens that proves your Ludwig killed Maria theory is actually correct.
Maybe they'll make a Ludwig prequel. Maybe Shadows Die Twice is the Ludwig prequel that reaffirms it.
Maybe.
Uh-huh. Okay. Is there anything else about Shadow Tower?
Well, when Bloodborne first came out, people were saying, like, oh, this is a bit like Shadow Tower.
Oh.
Yeah, for the reasons I said, in that Shadow Tower came out, it's kind of like a Kingsfield iteration, where it's Kingsfield, but there's, like, the focus is more on horror and sort of cosmic horror than it is on high fantasy, and you can use guns and things like that. It's not not pure medieval.
Mm-hmm.
And the usage of guns reaches this really weird point where, like, I think you get an assault rifle at one point. You can just, like, spray bullets at things. Oh, and also Shadow Tower ends with the same ending as Demon Souls, where you meet the king and he's transformed into a blob.
Aw.
Yeah.
Aldrich?
No, Alant. Oh, you haven't finished Demon Souls, have you?
No, did you just spoil it for me?
It's been out for, like,
You keep
9
spoiling.
years.
It's like...
Well, you spoiled that Ludwig killed Maria for everyone, because no one's realized this yet. Yeah.
You know what? You're right. It's fair.
Yeah.
Fair is fair.
Yeah. That's fair is fair, yeah. Oh, also, there's... Shadow Tower has 2 of the greatest NPCs ever in any RPG.
Who are they?
Okay, the first one is the character who helps you throughout the game is a fat mole whose name is Fat Mole. He is literally a talking mole.
That's
and
amazing.
he comes out of little holes in the wall and he gives you a hint and then he rolls back in the hole again. He's not like a mole burrowing, he rolls into a ball and just very slowly moves across the screen. But you can't do anything while this is happening and you just have to sit there and watch the mole. And he talks like Peter Lorre for some reason. He's like, "Hello, I'm Fat Mole. The area past here is filled with monsters." And then he just rolls back in again. The other amazing NPC is a dwarf who talks like Paul Lind for some reason. Where every other fantasy dwarf looks like a Viking and inexplicably speaks with a Scottish accent. But this dwarf, when you meet him in a room full of poison. He goes, "Oh, watch out there, it's full of poison." And he instantly became one of my favorite NPCs in any game just with that line. So I hope one or possibly both of them return to the From Software universe at some point. There's also like a Proto-Patches character in Shadow Tower who like asks you to rescue him, and then when you rescue him, he traps you.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah, it's just a very, very weird dungeon crawl, and it has really interesting, weird monster designs, and I really like it.
So do you think... Wait. How did I not catch on to this? Shadows die twice. Shadow Tower.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh. Confirmed?
I'd say it's my lock of the week. I don't know why I'm so like, I shouldn't say this because it might be wrong, when I've seen like videos from professional websites that said, "Oh yeah, the character whipping themselves in the Ashes of Ariandel trailer is Guinevere." That happened. There was like a preview of it, and she was like, "Yeah, this character here, I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure it's going to turn out to be Guinevere."
Did I tell you that I made a trailer analysis and I actually guessed that the person whipping themselves will be Ariandel?
Yeah, that was good.
That was good, huh?
Yeah. I liked the launch trailer because they had a cover of Lake of Fire in it, but because Lake of Fire references the 4th of July, they can't have that in a Souls trailer, they have to fade it out.
What?
So it cuts just before... The song they use in the Ashes of Ariandel launch trailer is a song called Lake of Fire by a grunge band called the Meat Puppets.
Okay.
And they did a cover of it for the trailer.
Okay.
But because the song references the 4th of July, they obviously can't have that in a Souls trailer. So it plays up to that point and then it just cuts out and they play something else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Also, in mystifying song choices, the Dark Souls 3 trailer was fucking Cyndi Lauper for some reason. Because they did this weird cover of True Colors, and I'm like, what? Why is this song?
I don't... Really? I've never heard. I've never seen that trailer.
Yeah, the first Dark Souls 3 trailer was called, like, True Colors of Darkness, but it was, like, this like, mournful minor key cover of a Cyndi Lauper song, and I'm like, okay. That's interesting.
That's pretty artsy.
Yeah.
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 Is she going to appear in Shadows Die Twice?
Maybe.
Maybe they were giving us a hint there.
Well, everything they do is a hint. It's all a classic Miyazaki troll, including the games he didn't work on.
Okay.
Like, one of the things that I think it's important to get across is that a lot of the things people credit Miyazaki with are like, that's the From sort of house style of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying he's not responsible for it, because he's a very good director and he's a very good writer and level designer.
Right.
But he's given credit for a lot of stuff that is just straight up in, like, Kingsfield. Like, it's just there. And he wasn't working at the company at the time. He hadn't even thought about it then. I think he still would have been at university. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Richard. So we talked about Echo Knight.
Yeah.
We talked about Armored Core. Spriggan Lunarverse?
Oh, I don't. I think a lot of From games never got a Western release, so I have no idea what the fuck Spriggan Lunarverse is.
What about Frame Gride? What's a
I'm
gride?
just gonna look up this. I'm just gonna have to look up this list myself.
Yeah, I am on the Wikipedia page. We send it to you. A gride, archaic to pierce or gash with a weapon. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, it's...
What are we looking at now?
Verb? Oh, okay.
So hang on. Echo Knight, Armored Core, Master of Arena, Spriggan Lunarverse, which I've never heard of. Oh yeah, that didn't get a release outside Japan, so that's probably why. Frame Gride I've never heard of, but that is a very mecha fighting game sounding name, and I predict it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, this says here it's like Armored Core as a fighting game.
Okay. What about
this for Dreamcast?
Eternal Ring?
Eternal Ring I have as well. That is another like Kingsfield derivative game.
Okay. Anything there that might point to Shadows Die Twice?
I can't believe we're doing this. Like, no.
Okay.
Eternal Ring is just like, it's another Kingsfield-like game. It's a first-person role-playing game. You wander around. The gimmick is that you get different rings, and then as you combine the rings, they make different spells for you. That's basically it.
Lord of the Rings?
Kind of, yeah. You become a Lord of the Rings.
Cool.
If you imagine just a very, very, very slow first-person shooter that's not very long. That's Eternal Ring. I remember it came out and it got really, really bad reviews.
Oh.
Because it came out, like, and people thought it was going to be like Final Fantasy because of the ad campaign. And then they realized, no, it is not.
I see.
Okay.
What about Evergrace?
Evergrace I have as well. That is I guess the closest would be like, it's kind of Zelda-ish. It's like a third-person action RPG. You have 2 characters in it. It's nothing like Shadows Die Twice, so I don't know why I'm describing it, but you play as 2 characters, and the gimmick is that the different outfits you unlock for them give them different abilities.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, Armored Core 2. The Adventures of Cookie and Cream.
Yeah, oh boy.
I hear about this one a lot, but I never played it.
Yeah, it gets brought up a lot because From are now known as like the Dark Souls company, so the idea that they made a cute game called Adventures of Cookie and Cream is funny. Adventures of Cookie and Cream is a puzzle game where you play as 2 rabbits called Cookie and Cream. And it's split screen. And the idea is that you control both characters at the same time with one controller. So you have 1 analog stick and 1 shoulder button for each character.
Okay.
So you control them, like one is left analog stick in L1, the other is right analog stick in R1. And you have to move them simultaneously to solve puzzles, so there'll be situations where like one of them will pull a lever that will let the other one past, and then they'll have to do something to let the other one past, and there are parts where you have to coordinate them, and there's timing and stuff like that. And it's really, really hard. It looks very cute, and it starts off easy, but then it becomes extremely difficult because it gives you very, very little time to do the puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, like, you can't, you don't have health or anything, but every time you're hit, you have to wait to sort of, like, start again, so you lose time.
Aww.
So it's a very, very, very strict timing challenge with Cookie and Cream, and having to control 2 characters at once and deal with the time limit is kind of exhausting in a way you wouldn't think initially, and it's actually pretty hard, and I've never finished it. Making it harder than any of the Souls games. Yeah, like, I've platinumed all the Souls games, but I can't finish Cookie and Cream. So, draw your own conclusions.
Richard, we should co-op it one day. Armored Core 2.
Yeah, Armored Core 2 Another Age.
Okay. I guess
let's talk about Armored Core 2 Another Age. This is what they had to do before DLC existed.
Oh, right.
The reason it's called Armored Core 2 Another Age is it's just a bunch of extra missions for Armored Core 2. So you just use the same, like, character and robot you built in Armored Core 2 and you just put this disc in instead. And just gives you extra stuff to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Forever Kingdom.
That's just Evergrace 2. I've never played it.
Okay. There's Kingsfield 4.
Yeah.
But we talked about Kingsfield, so that's enough.
Yeah.
Armored Core 3. Nah. Oh, yeah. Lost Kingdoms.
Lost Kingdoms I have not played, but it is an RPG and it's like a card-based combat system where when you encounter enemies, you draw cards and you use those to do stuff. Not Forever Kingdom. Lost Kingdom is another one of those, like, Demon Souls seems a little less unique when you read about it, because the plot of Lost Kingdoms is that there's a kingdom that becomes blanketed by colorless fog and people can't leave or enter. And you have to defeat the demons to make the fog go away.
Huh.
And that came out in 2002, which is somewhat prior to Demon Souls.
So that's like... Is that like Never mind, I don't know. Okay, cool.
Okay.
We talked about Otogi.
Yep.
Marakumo? What's that?
I have no idea.
Okay. Thousand Land?
That only came out in Japan. I've never heard of it. Thousand Land doesn't even have an article. You can't even click on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Nebula Echo Knight. That's an Echo Knight. Never mind.
Yeah, Nebula Echo Knight is just Echo Knight Beyond. It's just the other name for it.
I know about Metal Wolf Chaos because you explained it to me in a podcast.
I think but sorry, you left out Armored Core Nexus, Armored Core Ninebreaker, and Armored Core Formula Front.
Yeah, because it's Armored Core. We talked about Armored Core.
I know, they're all the same fucking game. I mean, I own them, but they're the same thing. They're just different missions.
Well, like you said, no DLCs. You buy separate
that's literally
game.
what they are.
Okay, yeah, Metal Wolf Chaos, we talked about it. Probably... It would be a very interesting twist of events if Metal Wolf Chaos turned out to be Shadows Die Twice.
Metal Wolf Chaos is probably the best known of the From games outside of, like, the really famous ones, because it's so bizarre. But it became like a go-to, like, what's up with this crazy game thing in the early days of YouTube. So for anyone who doesn't know, the plot of Metal Wolf Chaos is you play the President of the United States of America who has a giant robot, and the Vice President stages a coup, and he also has a giant robot, and you have to, like, liberate America from the Vice President's evil rule. And it never got a release outside of Japan. It wasn't supposed to. It was like a Japanese satire of kind of American, like, militarism and sort of jingoism. And there's lots of, like, the characters running around, like, blowing up buildings and screaming, like, I have the power of American justice! And interestingly, the game was never released outside Japan, yet all the voice acting is in English. Which... almost like it. Yeah, continue. Yoshitsune Iuden, Story of Hero Yoshitsune. I have no idea what that is. I'll hover over it.
I'm still laughing about what you just said. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what order these are going to come out in, but like one of the things we talked about with Loki is that even though Demon Souls is maybe the only time anyone has encountered this, like it's not uncommon. It's not common, but it's not uncommon for things intended solely for a Japanese audience to just have English vocal tracks as an aesthetic choice. So Metal Wolf Chaos is an example of that. The original Resident Evil is another example of that does not have Japanese voice acting. So the whole, like, why is the dialogue and acting in this game so bad? It's because it was, like, wasn't really for you. It was just, like, it was a stylistic choice. It was intended for Japanese people to read the subtitles and just... It's trying to mimic the, like, an American sort of feel. Yeah, that's why they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what Yoshitsune Iuden is. According to Wikipedia, it is a video game developed and published by From Software, which doesn't seem that helpful. Another Centuries episode is another mecha game. And from memory, that, like, has a bunch of... Yeah, it's like a crossover game. It has a bunch of different, like, mecha from different series in it. Like, kind of crossing it, kind of like Marvel vs. Capcom or something, where you have characters from different series fighting.
Okay.
This has a bunch of different anime characters in it. Similar to, if anyone knows the Super Robot Wars games, where you have all these different famous robots from different shows fighting together. This was a similar thing, but I think it was like they were much less well-known shows, so it didn't really get localized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, I asked Mai, and she said otogi means fable or fairy tale.
Thank you. Thank you, Mai.
Thank you, Mai.
Then we have a sequel to Yoshitsune Iuden, which doesn't have an article. Then Armored Core Last Raven, another fascinating Armored Core game. Then we have Enchanted Arms, which I have never played.
Let's see what Wikipedia says.
That looks like that says it's a science fantasy game. It looks a bit like Skies of Arcadia from what I've seen. Yeah, this is good. This is good that we're just like literally fucking reading Wikipedia articles out. This is amazing.
I kind of forgot that we're supposed to connect this to Shadows Die Twice.
Yeah, it's just become the history of From Software by someone who's played some of the games and someone who's played none of them.
Yes. Is Enchanted Arms Shadows Die Twice?
Yes, they all are. Another Centuries episode 2 is, we already covered that. Chrome Hounds was an Xbox, was like an early online only. It's not online only, but it's like mostly just, it's designed for online. And it's they're called mecha, but they're really just tanks. You just build tanks and then, like science fiction-y tanks, you can just cover them in all these weird guns and rockets and then you just shoot other people's tanks with them.
Cool.
Yep. Kingsfield. Armored Core 4, that is... No, that's not. Yeah. Armored Core 4 Answer is the one Miyazaki worked on.
Oh, snap! Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
One. Yeah. So, this is the thing about Armored Core. There's Armored Core 4, and then Armored Core : 4 Answer. Armored Core 4 Answer is the same mechanics and design and most of the same assets from Armored Core 4, but it's telling a self-contained separate story. So it's not like the other ones that are like Armored Core 2 Another Age or whatever. It's like, it's its own thing, but it carries a lot over from Armored Core 4. And Armored Core 4 Answer is the debut of a lot of Miyazaki names. So it's where you first meet Patches. You meet Ostrava, but he's called Otzdava. And there's Old King is a character in it. You also have a mech called the Writer Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a bunch of Miyazaki ideas sort of appear in Armored Core 4 Answer.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it is absolutely nothing. It's Armored Core 4 really changed up the series, because Armored Core 2 and Armored Core 3 are basically the same game for all intents and purposes. Mm-hmm. And all their associated like Armored Core 2 and 3 spin-offs. Armored Core 4 changed how everything worked. It made the mechs a lot more mobile.
Okay.
So in the Armored Core games, your robot basically handles like a tank. It's very big and heavy, even if you build a light one. Mm-hmm. And Armored Core 4 made it so like you're a very light robot. There's a big focus on dodging. You can basically just fly infinitely in that game if you build the robot right, as opposed to like sort of hopping like you do in the other ones. They added the ability to like climb walls and things. So you're a much more mobile, but slightly sort of... Yeah, you're a more mobile and less chunky robot in 4.
Okay.
There's a kind of a rift in the fandom over that, because the people who liked big, heavy tanks are sort of disappointed that they can't really build those anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does this relate to Shadows Die Twice?
It doesn't. Although, it is Miyazaki, so maybe one of the characters from Armored Core 4 Answer will reappear in Shadows Die Twice, like how they showed up in Demon Souls. Such memorable characters as Fiona Jarnfeld. And, I'm trying to think of anyone else. There's a faction in Armored Core 4 Answer called BFF Corporation.
BFF? Aww!
BFF! Yeah.
That is so cute. You know, I think I'm changing my mind. I think that BFF Corporation is the real precursor to the Snack Covenant.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Nan Pure Wow?
Doesn't even have a... That's a DS-only, Japan-only game that doesn't have a Wikipedia article.
Iraroji Wow? Listen, if anybody would know about these games, Richard, it would be you.
Well, it's more like if anyone you talk to would know about them. I'm sure someone out there does, and they have strong opinions on them, but I've never heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shadow Assault Tenchu. So, like, that's the first developed Tenchu game.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if you look at so Shadow Assault Tenchu's 2008. But, like, the Tenchu series goes back to, I think, 97? So you had 11 years of Tenchu games prior to that.
Right.
Yeah, so, like, it's technically a From series, but in the same way that, like Tomb Raider has moved from developer to developer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Shadow Assault Tenchu, 2008. We're now in 2018. Maybe it's a 10th anniversary type deal.
And Shadow Assault Tenchu?
Shadow Assault? Oh my god, yes!
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Shadow and 10 years. I think this might be it.
Yeah. Also, it says here that Shadow Assault Tenchu is a download-only puzzle game.
Oh, it's a puzzle game.
And it plays like Bomberman. And all the reviews are 4 out of 10.
You know what? I'm still keeping my pick. It's going to be Shadow Assault Tenchu remake. It's going to be a Shadow Assault Tenchu and Cookies and Cream crossover.
Yeah, they could do like a From Software mascot fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a puzzle game.
Yes. Then Demon Souls.
Wait, no, you skipped
Inugamike no Ichizoku. I don't know.
Are you sure?
Alright, fine. If you want to waste time, I'll Google it.
Alright, fine.
Well, this is somewhat confusing because it turns out that there's also a film that has that name as well, and it was remade. So there's like 2 films called that, and the movie, and whatever this game is.
Could Shadows Die Twice be a remake of the movie?
Yeah, why not? Maybe it'll be a sequel like how they made Goonies 2, but only as a video game and not as a movie. From what I can tell, the game is a visual novel for the DS.
Yeah.
Because I'm just seeing, like, black and white images and, like, prompts down the bottom where you must click with the stylus. So it might be... Oh, it says here the movie is, like, about a murder investigation, so maybe it's, like, you play a detective trying to solve the crime. But you can cheat by watching the movie and know who it was. Oh, yeah, no, it says here, yeah, detective visual novel.
Awesome.
Oh, God, yeah. It's a detective visual novel based on a novel that was then adapted into the movie, and then the movie was remade. So there's 4 different versions of this story.
So maybe it's about time they make a 5th one. Shadows Die Twice.
I think, yeah, by the time you've done a 4th entry in something, there's no integrity left, so just keep going. Ninja Blade we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Demon Souls, I can't talk about because you still haven't finished it, so it's a spoiler.
Well, you already spoiled everything for me, so go ahead.
Well, how about you explain Demon Souls, because we're currently coming on to things you've actually played. Demon Souls is a Kingsfield-like.
Demon Souls is a Kingsfield-like.
Yeah, Demon Souls is the Dark Souls of Kingsfield-likes.
Demon Souls is the Dark Souls of Kingsfield-like.
There we go.
That's
okay.
it.
Then there's Yatsu Hakamura. I have no idea what that is. I will Google it anyway because I'm not going to get anything else done tonight, so I might as well just... That's another visual novel. Also looks like a detective thing.
Wait, Richard. Before we move to another century, episode R, we didn't Google the other stuff that didn't have a Wikipedia page, so now we have to go back and
it's too late for that. No.
No. We have to do this properly. So we go back.
Yoshitsune Yuden Shura.
Wait. Oh, my boyfriend's here to help us. I have that game. You have? What is it?
That looks like Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, sorry. My boyfriend came by to tell me very important information, but go on.
Okay. Was it Leave Richard Alone?
That's like every day. Stop bullying Richard. He's so nice.
Okay, that looks like a samurai fighting game from the screenshots. It looks a bit like Dynasty Warriors, but there's less things on screen. Which one
is it? The Story of Hero?
Yoshitsune Iden. Yeah, but they look like... Okay, fine. Done. Now, let's move on. Monster Hunter Diary Poka Poka Iroh Village.
What? Where are you?
Yeah, that's a From Software game.
Where are you? You're going too fast.
It's a Monster Hunter spin-off developed by From Software and published by Capcom for the PSP.
Which game are you talking about, Richard?
Monster Hunter Diary Poka Poka Iroh Village.
Where? I don't see it. Oh my god. Oh.
It's under Another Century's episode.
Oh my god.
We're not Googling
Richard.
all of them.
No, we just need to Google 2 more. We just need to Google Nan Pure Vow and Iroroji. Just 2 more. Google Nan Pure Vow.
Oh. It looks like a puzzle game.
I guess Iroroji is also a puzzle game.
Probably.
Okay, I'll Google it. Yeah, it's...
No, I'll Google it. I've already... Yes, it is also a puzzle game.
Okay, so we got that.
It looks like a Picross game.
A what?
Picross.
What the fuck is that?
Picross is a game where you have a grid and then, like, the X and Y, like, the columns on the grid have numbers next to them, and then you use the numbers to fill in that many blocks along that axis of the grid, and it makes a little picture when it's done.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so then, did we talk about Yatsu Hakamura? Yeah, we did. That's the novel? No, we didn't. I don't know.
No, we did. That was when you started me Googling things.
Okay, perfect. So then
we found a total fucking dead end.
The one under it is Another Century's
this is supposed to be about Shadows Die Twice, right?
We're trying to figure out which game is Shadows Die Twice.
The history of From Software, largely improvised by people who don't know anything. Okay. I haven't played Another Centuries Episode R or Another Centuries Episode Portable, but I'm gonna hazard a guess that they're very, very similar to the other Another Centuries Episode games.
Okay, but a plot twist is coming.
Yeah.
My boyfriend told me that he played Another Century Episode R.
Oh, okay. Good.
My love, do you want to come tell us about it? Come on, love. Come on, tell us about it. Come on, my love. My love, come on.
You have a choice between bacon and me talking.
Oh, he's like, you have a choice between me making bacon and me talking.
Oh my god, you're so Canadian.
What do you mean?
You're having bacon.
Yeah, it's like breakfast. Oh no, the toughest choice of my life. Okay, Richard. Okay, what we're gonna do is another time, my boyfriend's gonna come on the podcast and he's gonna tell us about Another Century Episode R. And maybe we will find that it's actually Shadows Die Twice.
I am friends with a guy who is like obsessed with the Armored Core games and like every mecha game ever made. So we could just get him on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Super duper.
He may even listen to this because he follows you on Twitter.
Oh, really? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm shy.
He listened to us before and he said that there should be a comedy show where we play pest exterminators.
Sorry, say it again?
He listened to us and he said there should be a comedy show where we play pest exterminators. Where we have to like get rid of all like the bugs in the house and you keep coming up with weird ways of doing it. And I'm like, no! I'll just take the lid off and pour it over here. No!
You know what?
What?
After this podcast is over, I will tell you a story about bugs.
Okay.
You'll be like, oh, he's kind of spot on.
Okay. Okay. Well, oh God, how long has this been going for?
We
90 minutes. 90 minutes.
We need 25, but we gotta make sure. We gotta make sure we have 25 that are usable. So, Monster Hunter Diary, Poca Poca.
I just brought that up and you didn't want to listen to me.
Because I was confused to where you are.
Oh.
Talk about it. Go ahead. Go.
I've never played this. It was released in Japan on the 26th of August 2010.
Let me click the page.
It looks like Animal Crossing, but everyone is a cat.
Oh my god, it's so cute. Oh my god, there's a little pig. Oh my god, there's a little pig from Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter has the same pig.
It says here that they had a deal with Sanrio and there's Hello Kitty stuff in it.
Is this literally the Monster Hunter game?
Yeah, it's a Monster Hunter spin-off about the cats from Monster Hunter.
Oh my god, it's the cat! Obviously it's the cat from Monster Hunter! Oh my god, I'm going to play this. Oh my god, this is so adorable! Oh my god! Boyfriend! Come here,
look at this! It only came out in Japan.
No, he'll get this for me because he loves me. He will make this happen. Oh god, that is so cute. Okay, sorry about that. Oh my god, I hope Shadow Die Twice is this.
Me too, honestly.
Oh my god, it's gonna be so friggin' adorable. Okay. Did you say it has Hello Kitty stuff in it?
Yeah, it says there's like a deal with Sanrio so you can get official Hello Kitty stuff in the game.
Oh my god! Did you know that I have a Hello Kitty Swarovski necklace?
No.
And you know what's weird? Today I had a dream about wearing it somewhere. Because I rarely wear it because it's too precious to wear. So it's mostly in the box. Yeah. But I had a dream that I wore it out. And now you're telling me about Hello Kitty. It must be a sign.
Of what? Is it a sign that we should stop talking about this?
No, it's a sign that Shadows Die Twice might be this.
You know, I did research into From's back catalogue of horror and ninja games. And fantasy games. Because I thought, you know what? We can probably get 25 minutes out of this. As I look at the timer, we are on 1 minute and 1 hour, 51 minutes and 31 seconds. And we have long since stopped talking about things that are relevant, and we are just going through every single game From has released, of which you have played none. You were getting me to explain them. I haven't played half of them, and then when they don't have a Wikipedia article, I have to Google them.
Well,
and just read out the first result and hope it's correct.
Well, you exaggerate. You say of which I have played none. I played Demon Souls. I played Dark Souls. I played Bloodborne.
Yeah,
I played
but
Dark
we
Souls
haven't
2.
gotten there yet.
Okay, so we're almost there, though. We're almost at Dark Souls. You just have to tell me about Another Century episode portable.
I think it's very similar to the other Another Century's episode games.
Awesome. Now,
Good.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it.
It doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Do you think Shadows Die Twice is Dark Souls?
I think Shadows Die Twice is a sequel to Lords of the Fallen. The thinking man's Dark Souls.
What's Lords of the Fallen?
It's a rip-off of Dark Souls by another studio. It's not very good, and then they made The Surge, which also isn't that good, but I like anyway.
Yeah, you love The Surge. They need to contact you to promote that game.
I'm ambivalent on The Surge, which makes me its biggest fan. I'm like, yeah, there's interesting stuff here. I think, they're doing The Surge too, and I'm like, okay, if you iron out the issues with The Surge, this could actually be pretty good.
Does it have co-op?
No. That was one of the big issues with The Surge. There's no online and there's no co-op, so...
Well, maybe the second one will have co-op and we can stream it.
Oh, good.
Yay!
I can tell you all about the first Surge game, all
Yeah.
that. And it'll be popular, and it'll be like when Dark Souls got popular, and all the people who played Demon Souls got to be like, yeah, well, I played it before it was popular. And I'll be like, yeah, I made a bunch of tweets about how the Surge is potentially interesting before it was cool.
Okay, Armored Core 5, I guess we talked about Armored Core enough.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, Mobile Suit Gundam
Unicorn. Japan only, but we've now learned that that's not enough. And also, it being a Mobile Suit Gundam game means it is a licensed Mobile Suit Gundam property, and thus there is a negative 3,000% chance it has anything to do with Shadows Die Twice at all.
Okay.
But why not? Because it's fucking 10 past 2 in the morning. It is based on... Yeah, it's just a game based on the anime Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn. It was released only in Japan. It is for the PlayStation 3.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It says here that it's unique because it lets the character in control of the Gundam get out of the Gundam and turn it into a jet plane or something. I don't know, I've never watched Gundam.
I watched a couple of episodes.
I've never seen it. I've never seen any of them.
Okay.
Oh boy, Steel Battalion Heavy Armor. People might have heard of this.
I didn't. What's it about?
It was a mecha game again, but the idea was it would be like a simulation of how you would pilot, like if robots were real, what it would be like to pilot them.
Mm-hmm.
So the robot was pretty low tech. It was basically a tank with legs. And it used the Kinect, the Xbox thing. And the idea was using the Kinect, you would be able to you would gesture and it would be like you were in a cockpit. So you'd have to pull levers and press buttons and stuff with your hands while you were playing. And I want to look if this came with a ridiculous... Because I remember this came with a terrible controller. Hang on. Oh, no. The first Steel Battalion came out in 2002 and I don't think it was from Software, but it was a similar thing, we want to create the idea that you're really piloting a robot. So it shipped with this gigantic controller that was meant to look like the inside of a cockpit, and it would take up a whole table. And it had all of these levers and pedals and buttons on it.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. And I heard that Steel Battalion Heavy Armor is apparently absolutely terrible because the Kinect controls don't work properly. I've never played it because I've never owned an Xbox 360, but it often shows up on those worst games ever or most difficult games to control ever lists because Apparently the Kinect controls just didn't work. Yeah, here we are. Steel Battalion was largely panned by critics for being nearly unplayable due to the inability of the Kinect to accurately read the player's movements. And I'm looking at the reviews and it's all like 3s and 4s out of 10. Oh no. Not this gold. I am recording on my end.
Okay, so my recording started again.
Okay, good.
Okay. No, I knew this was coming. I was watching it. Sorry. Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah, anyway, Steel Battalion Heavy Armor, it used the Kinect to make... You had to, like, mimic... Like you were in a robot cockpit. You had to, like, pull things and push stuff with your hands. And, as is the fate of most motion-controlled things, it didn't work. So, like, the reviews are all really, really negative.
Aww.
And they all basically just say this game is unplayable.
So sad.
Yeah, and maybe it would have been good if it had just used a controller.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
We already did Armored Core.
Armored Core verdict today.
I'm giving you a chance to skip this, Richard.
Well, it's 2 Armored Core 5, what Armored Core 4 answer was to Armored Core 4.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Dark Souls 2. Is Dark Souls 2 Shadows Die Twice?
Yes.
Well, you never know. Like, you really never know. Maybe it's because I like Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, but I don't think it's Shadows Die Twice.
Maybe it's going to be like a super plot twist surprise. They're going to make the most amazing sequel to the Dark Souls sequel.
What, so you think Shadows Die Twice is Dark Souls 2 2?
Yes! Dark Souls 2 is Shadows Die Twice.
I see.
Yeah.
What isn't Scholar of the First Sin Dark Souls 2 2?
Okay.
It's Dark Souls 2.5.
No.
So Shadows Die Twice will be Dark Souls 2.52.
No, it's going to be Dark Souls 2 is Shadow Dies Twice.
I see.
Listen, do you laugh at me? I predicted which character
No, I'm not laughing.
is Ariandel.
I'm incredibly depressed.
Listen to me, Richard. I predicted which character is Ariandel, and I basically predicted the Ringed City before it even came out, before there was even a talk of the DLC.
What did you predict about the Ringed City?
Remember that the Pygmy Live lived on and they had a connection to Gwyn and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. I may be exaggerating that I actually predicted the Ringed City, but I predicted the whole Pygmy element as that they're still alive and they lived on and there is a connection with Gwyn. And what do we get in the Ringed City? We meet the Pygmies.
Yep. So, do you feel responsible for the Ringed City?
A little, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. It wasn't meant to happen.
Then, Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, finally! So,
Yeah.
A lot of people on the internet say that Shadows Die Twice is Bloodborne 2. What do you think?
I don't think it's Bloodborne 2, but it might be an evolution of what they're doing with Bloodborne.
I agree with that. I don't think it's Bloodborne 2
Yeah.
either. It would be way too easy.
Yeah, obviously with the data mining and stuff that's going on, it looks like Bloodborne was at one point, like very explicitly, it was Demon Souls 2. It was the same. We're not sure if it would have, if the plan was literally to release Demon Souls 2 Project Beast or Demon Souls 2 Bloodborne, but it looks like it may have been that the Chalice Dungeon stuff, something would have explicitly revealed that you were in Boletaria,
Oh, interesting.
500 years later or something. But, we don't know how overt it would have been. It may have been... I think I brought this up when I was talking with Loki, but, the Nier games are technically continuations of another series called Drakengard. But it doesn't really matter. It's just down to, if you know that, you're like, oh, I get it, that's how they connect. But it's not necessary to have played Drakengard to understand Nier. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Diary, Poka Poka, Arrow Village, DX.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I believe. Yep. DX just means deluxe, so it's the same thing. So we
Oh,
can move
I
on.
thought DX meant like something else, like another.
No.
Okay, Dark Souls 3.
Dark Souls 3. There will be no sequel because that game's not canon. Dark Souls Remastered is not out yet.
Okay.
And that brings us to the end of something I thought we would never have to read. It is 2:17 a.m. We have been recording for 2 hours, 5 minutes and 16 seconds.
Okay, but there's one last thing we have to do.
Oh no. Oh, is it Twitter questions?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll just get comfy because I know that you very helpfully because this is what when you've realized if I won't agree to something, you just say I've agreed to it in public while I'm asleep.
Yeah.
And then by the time I get up and notice I've got between 35 and 50 Twitter notifications of people mentioning this, that the damage is now done. And I can't get out of it. So you've very helpfully twice now solicited questions about Shadows Die Twice from various people.
Twice? No, I did it once. I did it once.
Did you mention it twice?
Is it Shadows Die Twice? I don't know. I think I only mentioned it once. No, what happened is The Ringed City, I did it to you. Maria, I did it to you. And now I did it with Shadows Die Twice. Oh, I also did it with the doll. So 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe other ones I don't remember. But anyway, so My Sinclair...
Okay.
My Sinclair asks, should I skip it and wait for Shadows Die Thrice?
No, I need Mai to play it so she can explain things to me. Although maybe I'll just be like normal and I'll just like send her a screenshot like, explain this! What does this mean? Also, tell me about PC games from your childhood, because I'm fascinated in old Japanese PC games, and I want to know about all your horrible Dragon Warrior clones.
Lol. Awesome. Okay. Allison says, how excited are you that it's definitely Bloodborne 2?
My excitement is through the roof, because I have been very vocal about the fact that I think Bloodborne definitely needs a sequel. It could only be improved by them adding more to it, as Dark Souls 3 proved. That if something works the first time, just bring it back again. And it's just as good.
Oh, my boyfriend's here. Say hi, boyfriend. Oh, he's pointing to Discord. My boyfriend has a question. He asks, what about Shadows Die Twice, Yorshka versus Lord of Cinder?
Well, as long as Yorshka loses, it's good.
As long as Yorshka loses, it's good, my love. Because he knows those are the two things you may not like the best. So he's like... Richard's like,
Well, we did remember Lance dug up 2 Yorshkas. Shadows Die Twice. By
the way, I'm going to announce this while you're sleeping, but we're gonna have a podcast about Yorshka.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just never wake up. Can't wake up, have to talk about Yorshka. I'll just sleep forever.
Or just never go to sleep.
That's true. Yeah, actually, yeah.
There we go.
It's like Nightmare on Elm Street
That's what
if
I
I
was
fall
thinking.
asleep.
If you fall asleep, Sins puts out a Twitter message about something you don't want to do and forces you to do it. Okay. Cosmic Castaway says...
Yeah, that's Neo Lucky.
Yeah, Neo Lucky says, just say the word angels. That's awesome. Okay, Mittens asks, will there be waifus?
I think they'll have to be waifus, surely.
Will there be husbandos?
Yeah, I imagine what'll happen is they will do, there'll be some, like, waifu character who everyone will waifu. And then there'll be some, like, vaguely threatening big hairy guy who breathes heavily who's meant to be scary. But he will develop a cult following.
Gascoigne?
Yeah, I was thinking of Gascoigne. I was talking to who's never played Bloodborne. I was talking to a friend about it, and I'm like, yeah, this guy has a pretty strong following. And she's like, who is he? And I'm like, well, he's just this big, hairy guy with an Irish accent who breathes heavily and growls. And she's like, yeah, that'll do it.
Okay. Hellrider asks, could it be a gigantic crossover through Souls, Bloodborne, Kuon, Adventures of Cookie and Cream, Shadow Tower, Kingsfield, Tenchu, and Armored Core?
It could. Yeah. It won't be.
You don't know that.
Oh, God, a little...
And you know what? It's a good thing we went through the Wikipedia page.
132 minutes.
Richard.
That is 1 minute per, like, frame at this point of that trailer.
We exceeded expectations. But Richard, it's a good thing we talked about every single game from that Wikipedia page, because now this question makes sense. It's not just random games and words we're throwing out.
Okay.
People know what these games are about and can understand the question. Like, I could not have understood it before this podcast.
Yeah, but, like, you're one of the hosts of the podcast. So I feel like you probably should have done some reading beforehand.
I told you I made sure the Snack Covenant was with us. And you know what? It paid off because we have at least 25 minutes of this.
Well, that's the problem with the Snack Covenant is that you have slightly too many snacks, and I think you go into like a sugar high, and then it just drags on and on and on. And I'm in the opposite situation where it's the middle of the night, and I'm like about to expire. You're like, no, we keep talking.
Okay. The 3-2 asks, what is Shadows Die Twice?
That's Mark, the guy who is really into Armored Core.
Oh, Mark asks, what is Shadows Die Twice?
It's the reason that Armored Core 6 is being delayed, I'm afraid. Sorry, but they're working on this instead.
Aw. Zod the God asks.
Oh, wait, no, I've got another answer for Mark.
Yes.
Only he will understand this.
Okay.
It is a sequel to Speed Power Gun Bike.
Well, I understood this.
Ah, yeah.
I didn't. I lie.
Yeah, I figured. He's also the one who thinks we should be in a sitcom where we play exterminators.
Oh, someone else said we should be in a comedy where we play police buddies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the buddy cop movie.
The buddy cop movie, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that people may get the impression that this is an act that we put on, and it's not. Like, she's genuinely this incoherent at all times, and I am genuinely this weary.
You know, I'm a little surprised because this is the way I interact with everyone in my daily life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I know are the same way. Like, this is like a little while back, like one of my friends got a condo and she got a boyfriend. And so a couple of us came over to check out her condo, to check out her boyfriend. And so that was basically like having 3 sins in a room with their boyfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't recorded and broadcast to several thousand people.
Maybe it should have been. It was really fun.
Well, I do take solace in the fact that this isn't just for my benefit. Like, you're not just trying to annoy me. Like, you're just like this with everyone.
Yeah, this is me.
Yeah, good. Have fun editing this. That's your penance.
Yeah.
The thing is, the longer you drag this out now, the more work you've got to do later on.
Yeah.
So, like, I can just forget about this, but you're going to have to think about it. Like, I can just, yep.
I'm going to have
Like, it might be 2.5 hours for me, but it's going to conservatively be several weeks for you, trying to make something comprehensible out of this.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Zod the God says, if it is Bloodborne 2 or a Bloodborne-like game, what changes to the mechanic do you think would be done to improve the gameplay?
I think Bloodborne kind of suffered from having too many of the mechanics from the previous Souls games in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it's an RPG where you upgrade individual stats at every level, but at the same time, there's not really, like, builds in it in the same way there is in the Souls games. Like, you're always going to be someone who has to dodge around attacks and rely on parries.
Mm-hmm.
So the stat level up was basically, like, you picked a weapon, and then you spec'd for that weapon, and that was how the level ups kind of functioned.
Okay.
The DLC sort of addressed that by adding more arcane stuff, so if you really wanted to, you could push yourself toward an arcane item user who used items rather than weapons to do damage. But, like, I think if they keep going down that pathway, then, like, I would drop, like, the whole level up system entirely.
Huh.
Because all it really did was add grinding. And, like, I think Bloodborne would have worked a lot better if it was more like Legend of Zelda or something where there were character upgrades, but you just found them, and there was a finite number of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, like, you kill the cleric beast, and then you get the cleric beast's heart, and then you can use that to, like, give yourself extra HP or extra strength or something like that. Rather than, like, farming, yeah.
Well, you know what? We have only 2 more questions left, so we can do this fast. Like one-word answers.
How are there 2 questions when I was getting, like, 65 notifications?
Like, a lot of them were, like, likes and tweets and, like, you know what I mean? Like, replies and... Okay.
Who likes this?
Everyone.
Oh, no.
All the awesome people like this. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. Carlos Marcos asks, is Patches going to appear on it?
He might, because he is a Miyazaki fave, and he has appeared in 3 different canons so far. He's been in Armored Core, Demon Souls, the Dark Souls games, and Bloodborne.
Super.
Yeah, so they might keep him around.
Awesome, and last question. What type of game are you hoping for? Any particular setting or aesthetic you would prefer? And that's asked by Don Coralejo.
I hope it is, like, a hybrid of a ninja stealth game like Tenchu with some RPG-ish elements to it. Like, maybe, like we talked about Tenchu having discrete missions.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the way you had to use stealth and things to get around, I think maybe if you had that in, like, an open urban setting, kind of like Yharnam, where you were still having to rely on stealth and, like, having to hide bodies and things, but you were in an open world, that might suit it better. Because one of the issues with Bloodborne is, like, you had a big urban environment, but you still moved like you're in a Souls game. When it would have been an ideal system for, like, it would have been an ideal setting to add things like, you know, if you could climb, or you could run along rooftops, or you could, like, jump out of windows or something like that. And you can't really do that. I mean, you can, but it's all kind of scripted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having more fluid movement in Bloodborne would have been, not in Bloodborne, but in Yharnam. Because, you know, you're not weighed down by armor, you're not carrying a shield around. So, yeah, being able to explore the city in interesting, you know, new ways would have really benefited it, I think.
So it's like an Assassin's Creed, Nier Automata, Bloodborne crossover.
Well, yeah, I think, like, I don't want to say like Assassin's Creed, because that we already have a bunch of Assassin's Creed games already, but like, maybe freeing up if you are playing as a ninja, like, that's a good excuse to give you, like, maybe you can climb walls.
Yeah.
Like, just adding that would change up, yeah.
Maybe you can go up a really high stair.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can jump over a fence.
Yeah. Instead of there being invisible walls everywhere.
Yeah. And you know what, Richard? Do you know what?
What?
We're done!
Are we?
We made it!
What do you think Shadows Die Twice means?
I don't know. Because I'm hungry and my boyfriend finished making food. So we're done. The second that food hit the plate and he's like, food is here, we're done, Richard, this podcast is over.
So literally the only reason this dragged on as long as it did is that you didn't want to have to get up.
Yeah.
Until your breakfast was ready.
Yes.
And it's taken 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And now that it's ready, you're free to go.
Thank you. You're a benevolent god.
The snack covenant just freed you. Literally, they're like, enough is enough. You answered all the questions. You covered all the bases. It's time for Richard to go. And food
I'm
appeared.
like Yamamura in The Hunter's Nightmare. Just bashing my head into a wall until someone opens the cell door and kills me. And then I'm finally freed from the nightmare of sin.
The Nightmare of Sin. That sounds like a crossover of the first Sin and the Hunter's Nightmare.
Yeah. The domain of the brain genius.
All right. Well, that's it, Richard. For reals.
Are you sure there's nothing else you want to ask? Because even though that took 2.5 hours, I can't help but feel we didn't really cover very much.
Listen, usually I would ask you more questions for 2.5 hours, but I'm gonna go eat now.
Okay, so you've got to reduce this to like 20% of its length, and we'll have the longest Shadows Die Twice trailer analysis on YouTube.
I think I can do it. But it might end up being a little longer, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Richard, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I was going to say thank you for inviting me, but like, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I noticed the pause too. I noticed it too.
I was certainly present.
You certainly were. Alright, and if need be, I can ask for more questions about Shadows Die Twice, and we can have a second part
Yes,
to this.
if you need to, yes.
Maybe we can go through the YouTube comments to this and answer those if they arise. So actually...
You know that, like, it's going to be E3 next month?
Well, this is why I need to get it out beforehand.
Yeah, and they'll probably show off actual footage of Shadows Die Twice there, which will reveal how the game works and that it's not called Shadows Die Twice.
Well, we'll deal with that once we get there. We'll cross that bridge.
It'll be a
once
Souls
we get
game
there.
called Twice Souls.
It's gonna be a Lord of Cinder spin-off featuring Yorshka.
Is Yoshka a Lord of Cinder now?
Maybe they are. I don't know. You don't know.
They just kept burning her and she kept coming back and like, shit. We thought we burned her. She's back.
You really need to learn the theme, Richard. I'm gonna send it to you, and that's gonna be your homework assignment for next podcast.
It's called Up in My Jam.
Yes!
I know that.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, when I heard it, I was looking for... Because I have various, like, themes that I was considering, and sometimes I use different ones, but that's the one I always go back to. I really, really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is it. You can go to sleep now.
You can go to sleep now, little Richard.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Little Richard says you can go to sleep now.
You can go to sleep now. And wake up in the morning and discover what you've posted about me.
Alright. All right, man. Again, thank you so much for doing this. And I think the podcast is over. And yeah, what are you gonna do now?
I'm gonna go to sleep and then wake up and remember that I recorded this. Oh, actually, I should export this to MP3 and the Loki stuff to MP3 and I'll upload it for you.
Yeah.
That'll be what I'm doing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and like, yeah. But listen, because this was so exhausting, you'll sleep well now. It's like exercising. You exercise your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not going to stay up till like 5 a.m.
Well, I might.
No, you won't.
Oh, I think I might.
No, I think you won't. I think you'll go to sleep and get enough rest and be super well rested and finally post your Birkenverse video.
Yeah, it's sure.
Okay, Richard. Well, I'm going to go. Thank you for real. Thank you. This was super awesome.
Okay.
You're awesome, Richard.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend thinks you're awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, Richard says thank you. Yeah, and so I'll see you around, man.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.